Welcome to another video. In this video we're gonna learn how to switch rooms in ct.js. It's gonna be a quick project. We're just gonna have a character that moves by itself and hits a trigger. This trigger could be a door, could be a button, could be like a portal or a black hole, whatever you want. And when the character hits on the trigger, it causes that we switch rooms. So let's get to it. Alright, so for this video you have to create a new project. Just create a new one, name it whatever you want. And the first thing we need to do is create a texture. So click on over here and generate placeholder. We're gonna name it character. And for label we're gonna just put a C. Create and close, and we're gonna create a type from this. Close this for now, and then come over here to rooms. Let's create a new room. Let's name it RM01, and let's place our character in the center. Let's close this, create another room. We're gonna name this RM02. Also place the character in the center. Hit done. So we have room 1 and room 2, and we're gonna make our character move from room 1 to room 2. So let's on our types, come over here to our type. On create, we're gonna give this character a speed of 3. Speed equals 3. So it's gonna move 3 pixels per frame. Come over here to the unstep tab. We are gonna need this because we're gonna be moving this character with the default properties. So just move it down. Alright, so what do we want to do? If our character is in room 1, we want to move right. And if the character is in room 2, we want to move left. So first we need a condition. If the room name is equals to RM01, then we want to move on right. So our direction has to be 0. Remember that 0 is right, then 90 is up, 180 is left, and 270 is down. So our direction is 0, we move right. And if the room name is equals to room 02, then we want our direction to be 180, so we move left. And that's it. With this code, our character is gonna be moving left or right depending on the room it's in. So let's come over here to rooms and let's check it out. By default, the first room we created is the one that gets executed, and there it goes, right? So we first created a room 1, so this is the one that gets executed by default. Right now we want to see how it moves on room 2, so just right click and set a starting room, and you get your little icon right there. So let's go ahead and check on room 2 what happens. It's supposed to move left, and there it goes. Alright, let's set the first room as starting point again. So now we need our trigger. So when a character gets to the right, it hits the trigger and we automatically move to room 2. Come over here to textures, create a new one, new placeholder. We're gonna name it trigger. We're gonna put a T and color white. Apply. Create and close. So we create a type from our trigger. And let's start creating our logic for our type. Come up here on step and remove. We don't have to move this trigger, so we're gonna delete that. And what we need is we need to check for a collision. For a collision with our character. And we're gonna do this the simplest way I found out to do this. It's not the most optimal, or it's not even pixel perfect, but it works for this. So let's use that. Let's create our condition that if we meet with our character, then we do something. So if this meets with our character, then we do something. PlaySmith is a function that let us check if this, so the trigger, meets with our character. Remember, we named on our types, we named it character, so it's gonna check against this name, and once we meet with that name, we're gonna do something. So this is where the magic begins, because we're gonna switch rooms, but we need to know in which room we are right now, so we can know which room we have to move into. So let's create another condition. So if the room name is equals to room 01, then we're gonna switch to our room 02. And to switch, we only have to run this ct rooms switch, and we put the name of the room we want to switch into, so room 2. And with this code, we're going to be switching from room 1 to room 2. Else if our room name is equals to room 02, then we want to switch to room 1. So we can copy this, control copy, control paste, switch into room 1. So right here, we're gonna be checking if our trigger meets with our character, then we're gonna execute this. And over here, if our room name is room 1, then we're gonna switch to room 2. If our room name is RM2, we're gonna switch into RM01. And that's the logic for our trigger. Now let's come over here and place our trigger in a room. In the room 1, we're gonna place it over here. And in the room 2, we're gonna place our trigger over here. So everything's ready. Let's go ahead and check how it works. So there you go. In room 1, what happened there? It went through. Let's check the logic for our trigger over here. Else if city room name. Alright. This didn't work because right here I have a space, so the name is not exact. So let's get rid of that. The name has to be exact. Any little difference is not gonna work, as you saw. So just close this and let's go ahead and check it out again. So there you go, room 1 hits the trigger and switches, room 2 hits the trigger and switches. Let's make this a little bit clearer to see, to visualize. So we're gonna place over here a label that says room 1 and room 2. So to place labels in ct.js, you need to use a pixie object. So let's come over here to our room. We select room 1, room events, on create. Right here on create, we're gonna create this pixie object that is gonna be a text and it's gonna be displayed on a room. Usually you want to display any type of labels and that in a user interface room, but just for this tutorial's sake, we're gonna just place it in the same room just to do it quick. Come over here to UI and create a new style. We're gonna name it main, We're gonna give it a font. Well, first let's come over here to fill, activate, diffuse, and leave it as is. Let's go back to font. Let's give it a size of what's good, 20 or 30. Yeah, let's give it 30, and weight, make it 900, centered, and that's it. Apply, and that's our style, and it's named main, so we can use this style now. We're gonna apply this style to our pixie object. Alright, so let's create our pixie text object. So let's give it a name. This text is gonna be equals to pixie. Remember that ct.js uses pixie underneath. We're gonna need a text. This is gonna be a new object. So new pixie text, and it takes a few parameters. It's gonna say room 1, and we need to apply a style. To get a style, we just do ct styles.get, and we want to get the main style. So right here, we're creating a text object that is gonna be a new pixie text that is gonna say room 1, and it's gonna get the style main. Remember, our style is main, so we're getting that style and applying it to this label that it's a text pixie object on text, right? And the default placement for created objects in ct.js is 0 and 0, x 0, y 0. So that's gonna be the upper left corner. I'm just gonna give it, so that's where our label is gonna be created, on the upper left corner. I'm just gonna give it a little edge so it's easier to see. By that, we're just gonna move our text object in the X. We're gonna give it 10 pixels, and the text object in Y, we're gonna give it also 10 pixels. That's gonna give us a little frame around, but it's gonna make it easier to see. And lastly, we're just gonna add it to this room. We're gonna add it as a child, and that is our text. We're gonna copy this, hit done, close, open our room 2, room events, paste it over here, and just change the one for it. That's it. Close this and execute. And here we go. We have a room 1 and room 2, and we're switching rooms with a trigger. And this trigger could be a door, it could be a button, a portal, a black hole. This trigger could be even invisible. Let's make that. Open the trigger, on create, that visible equals false. Whoops, false. Done, execute it, and now our trigger is gonna be invisible, but it's still gonna work. So you can do many things with a trigger, and with this one we're just switching rooms. So that's how you switch a room in ct.js. I hope this was useful to you, and stay tuned for the next video. Alright, well, I'll be leaving links in the description like always so you can download this game engine. It's free, multi-platform, open source. What else do you want? And of course, I'll be leaving links also to this community, to the Discord of the Jammer community in itch. So if you want to join, you're a beginner, want to join, start making jams, participating in jams and everything, go ahead and join. And thank you for staying all the way to the end of the video, and I'll see you around.